Hello and welcome to Outer Body Experiences. My name is Marantha O'Rourke. For those that don't know me, you can find me mainly on Facebook, Marantha O'Rourke. Not on there a lot anymore because my main focus, of course, is what I'm doing here. And of course, my channels, which you're already aware of, is Marantha O'Rourke. And also, which is the one we're using now, is Outer Body Experiences 8888. Now, before I begin, I just want to also share a couple of, hang on, let me write this down. I have notes on it, good. I want to just let you know there's other people that I can recommend for you, especially to do with what we're going to talk about, which is out-of-body experiences. And the reason I will share them is because, one, I've had time with them, I trust them, and it's always good to go to others because I will explain that in a minute why. So I will put some links down below that you can go and check about who I'm talking about. I won't put them on here because I haven't asked them this morning. I forgot. So you can go and have a look at the comments below. I'll leave information, details, and contact information to do with out-of-body experiences and people that can help you further than I can. The one thing I want to make very clear is anything that I share with you on this channel that I have experienced personally, I'm not an expert. I'm just someone here who is enjoying the process, learning from it, changing from it, and I just want to share those experiences to hopefully help other people. Over time, I myself would love to have people on here as well who have had out-of-body experiences or even near-death experiences, and I'll talk about how they're similar. So if that's you and you're interested, do contact me. You can get me through Marantha O'Rourke on Facebook Messenger. That's mainly where I put people through. And also, I am an empath and an intuitive. So I do help, I've helped thousands and thousands of people find their way, find love. I do offer readings, of course, and lots of other things you can go and check on my page. I am a little different. I don't title myself as a spiritual person or a new age movement person or anything like that. I'm just me. I have a natural ability, so therefore I can traverse, navigate, help you in any way, shape or form. When you come to me, it's generally for people who are either ready to awaken, people that are interested in out-of-body experiences, of course, now, and generally just want to find their way, want to know their purpose, why they're here. And my abilities range into also talking to off-worlds like galactics and other realms and things like that. So go and have a read. I won't get too much into that this morning. So what we're going to do today is we're going to, I think I'll start with letting you know the process that I use. I don't use the same process all the time for every experience I have. But I think because of the person that I've been a part of their group and the one who got us all started, obviously, who was Darius J. Wright. I'm not affiliated with him, as I've said before, but he's the one that has generally truly got me started into this, opened my eyes, as well as Corey Brandon, who's Soul Travel 77, as you've seen me in my page and on his page, talking about these experiences together. And I will eventually have him on later down the track when we get more organised to share some of the things that he's had as well, because he's had some amazing experiences too. But again, I'm not an expert, but I can send you to someone who never claims they're an expert, but has had so many of these experiences and traversed places that I haven't even put my toe in the water yet to even experience myself. Who can help you with that? Now, when I talk about in a moment of the protocols or how to exit the body, how I do it, how I feel about it, and things like that, I want you to know that I won't be following the exact protocols as I was trained to and taught to by Darius, mainly out of ethical behavior and morality. Those are his teachings. That's how he does things. I will not be borrowing from that. I won't be going deep into what he talks about and how he teaches you to do so. I'm just going to give you an idea of what I do and what has worked, what I use sometimes, don't use, and just a little idea of that. Again, if you really want to know how to do this properly and you want, and your heart's desire is really pulling you this way, then Darius J. Wright the great works is the gentleman that you need to go and see. He's the guy that knows what you need to know in order to traverse this. Also, want you to know that when you go to these people, including myself, or Corey, or Darius, or whoever else that you find, make sure that you understand that these are just our personal experiences. We're not here to lead you. We're not your gurus. We're not your teachers. We're not your mentors per se, but we're just here to share experiences. Darius, on the more extreme and more capable, in that way of the knowledge that he has, the understanding of how to do this, he can do that for you. He can help you, but again, he never claims, and neither do any of us, that we are all knowing, that we are your teachers, your mentors. Just here to assist, just here to give you an idea of what can happen, what you can experience, what it feels like, how it felt for myself personally, what I went through, the change that it created, and how that was fantastic, beautiful, so much love, but also not easy. So I'll talk about things like that as well. So just understand that we're just here, people like myself, who've, like I said, just barely dipped my toe in the idea of this. And I've been doing it, I think I joined Darius 2 years ago when I first started into his group, so, and teachings. So I always say that we're all experts, basically. Everyone does this. It's not special, but it's beautiful. But everyone does it every night. We all exit the body in sleep. A lot of us don't remember a lot of what we are experiencing. Some of us might have visions, dreams, and things like that that happen at night, that we might have an idea of we're going places. But until such time as you really get deep into this and do it properly and figure out how to get out of the body, fully awake, fully conscious, fully you as your soul body, and experience this construct, other constructs, which is like the pictures I've got, this side, other constructs, other places, other worlds, and then beyond that, outside this construct and beyond, that's when you really start to remember and wake up. So out-of-body experiences, like I said, you don't have to be special to do this, okay? This idea of reaching or attaining enlightenment a certain way is a lot of work, and to be honest myself, I found it exhausting, and there was a lot that it didn't really do for me. So now I've stopped chasing, I've stopped doing, I just give, I just acknowledge the process without having to become anybody or anything for any reason. So for me, the Great Awakening, the Great Works, it is known over there, as Darius has explained to us. It's known as the Great Works on the other side, out of here, here, and out of here. Here. It's a lot of here, isn't it? It's known as the Great Works that all are capable of. But the beauty of what he has taught people like myself is to wake up, remember who we are as a soul, how powerful we are, how incredible it is what we can remember and achieve as a soul, but also gives us an idea why we're here, why we're remembering, and how we're going to bring that from the other side, which is known as heaven, to earth. That's what he calls it. So let's begin. So what I'm going to do is I'll give you a very brief idea of what Darius calls protocols, but I'm just going to explain to you the basics of what I've been experiencing, but won't go deep into his teachings, because if you want to do that, as I said, ethically and morally, I cannot give you that information. It's not the right thing to do, and it's not my nature to do stuff like that, to be that type of person. I'm here to be honest and authentic. So when you're watching me, it's going to be truth. It's going to be how I've seen it and experienced it. It may not be how you've seen and experienced it, or other people are the same, but it'll have a familiarity. It'll be similar. So the places we go are similar. We just see them in the way that we are comfortable in seeing them. So I will never act out of authenticity. I'm honest and truthful about that. So that's about all I can say without going down the rabbit hole. Okay, so we will be talking about, as I said, exiting, how I feel about that, how it's changed me, how it got me to here, a little bit of how I do that. And I'm going to talk about this level, the level next to it, number 2, as it's known, second realm or heaven realm. It's known as second realm 2. So we're number 1, number 2, which is right there with us. People sort of see it as, and I have seen it as what's behind me, the pictures, the layers, but it's actually because of the many kingdoms within each realm, there is the eternity of creation, the forever, as we see it, where these places, the kingdoms that are around us, they go sideways and go on forever as well. Hence why we can traverse all over the place, back and forwards, up and down, and everywhere. So the reason I'm going to go into there first is because there was a couple of things that I've had to do with galactics, and they're just the base level, and I'll talk about why I see them as that. Not in a they're not unknowing, but I'll explain that. But the reason I'm going to go into them is because in the interview with Corey and myself, we talked about galactics because he wanted people to know we are them for a start, all right? We are the aliens and the UFOs everyone likes to talk about. We are them. But then there is them also that are around us in other realms. So because we got into that as the first interview, I thought I might just carry on from there and then go into other things as well. So the first ones I'll be bringing through and talking about is the known as Pleiadians, and I'll have a couple of images for you. These ones I saw this time are Pleiadian, but they're slightly different, and I'll explain why they're different. And then I'll explain how one of the first experiences I had with them was where I saw certain things that Darius has talked about. So the beauty of when you are in communion or conversation with other people who have had these experiences. Excuse me, I'm looking at my notes because I will brain fart and forget things. I'm nearly 60. Give me a break. Okay. The reason that I want to go into these is because, as Darius has talked about, there's a lot of experiences that he's spoken about that he himself has had since all his life and since he was 16, basically. So, like I said, that man's been everywhere and it's wonderful. It just gives you an idea that when we see things, so if you see a little bit of things like I've got behind me, those images are just an ideal of some things I've seen, some things I've experienced over time, some of the visions I've had with that. But they're not absolutely exact. I did my best. GTP chat and I did our best, put it that way. So the images I share with you will be close, but I'll do my best to explain them in detail. So I thought I'd start with that because of a couple of the experience I had run into some galactics, what they gave me, the experience they shared with me, how they felt. And a lot of people are really interested in this sort of stuff at the moment. The other thing is too, if you are really interested, whether you watch this when it's posted, I'm not sure if we posted straight away, but it'll be there within the day or two, depending on YouTube. And I've also will be posting on here and other platforms the interview that I'm going to have with a gentleman who's part of the disclosure movement. He's one of the guys that organises the conferences. He's deep in disclosure, and I'll be posting that as well. So if you are interested in disclosure, UFO, governments and that thing, I'm not deep in it. I don't know a lot, but it'll be very interesting to talk to someone who does. I have had conversations and interviews with other people. If you want to see them, they're on my Facebook page, those in the disclosure movement. Which then comes into this galactic UFO-y type stuff. But I won't be covering that today per se. So keep an eye out for that. I will be posting that interview as soon as it's done, hopefully by the weekend. So a couple of days. All right. So let's start with how did I get into this? Why, for a start? And as I've spoken before, how I found Darius and Corey and a few others that really are truly beautiful, honest, and authentic people, which is what I like, just real, you know what I mean? So it started for me very briefly, because I've already spoken a bit of it in the previous interview with Corey. It started for me, I've been in the movements. I've been through religion, but I was not a religious person per se, come from Catholicism. So my grandfather was a deacon, so there was a connection to that belief system when I was a lot younger. I went through all the ceremonies and rituals and that jazz when you're young, you know, Bride of Christ, all that jazz. But I wasn't really someone who was deep into religion whatsoever. Now, it wasn't that at that time that I didn't like it or I shouldn't. It was just I'm a channel, if people know what that is. I'm someone who channels information. So a lot of the stuff with my OBE experiences, I can have in between states, or have visions as well and see things other ways, rather not just exiting. So they come into exiting and vision. And I just found that all through my life, being born very different to the whole of my family, I was a very quiet woman, a little bit crazier now because I'm older and get away with it. But I was very quiet, very shy, very introverted. I kept to myself a lot. And I was very shy. But I realized that a lot of that was probably some of the belief system as well, because, let's be honest, a lot of that stuff, you're not really allowed to have a voice, you're not allowed to ask questions and things like that. So I learned to just keep to myself. So from that, I eventually got to a stage where I was old enough to see things, understand things. I felt different. I never felt that I was supposed to be here or belong here, and not in a negative way or a sad way. She wasn't sad, Miranda, but it was just this place felt very, very foreign to me. It didn't feel like it was home, and I just didn't fit into the norm. Now, unfortunately for Maratha, she also likes to ask questions. Now, when you're in that Catholicism religion, very frowned upon that you ask why. What's that for? Why? And they just look at you like how dare you? And there's something wrong with you. So I learnt to keep my mouth shut. But all through my life, I had this very, very strange feeling inside of me that something about me being here almost felt like, and it wasn't, because this is just words, it was a mistake. Like, what am I doing here? Why did I land here? Now, I've had that for as long as I can remember. And I used to have unusual sensations, feelings, dreams, visions, and I never knew what the heck that was, because in Catholic religion, it's, they're not going to say to you, by the way, you're a channel like Jesus, and they won't see it like that. So you get told to put baby in the corner and keep it quiet. So I learnt to be quiet. Now, all through that moment, all through those years, I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know why I was feeling it. I had unusual experiences in the evenings, which I now know was out of body, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. So I had a lot of fear in my early years because I didn't know who I was. I didn't understand who I was. I was feeling things off people and the whole damn place, this whole place. I was picking up thoughts. I was hearing thoughts. I was having unusual experiences at night time, which if I got time today, I might speak another time about what I experienced. It's a little unusual. And so I really had no idea what was going on. And when you're a bit weird like that and you're hypersensitive in that way, it's very hard to be around others because they don't understand you. They don't know what's going on with you. They don't know why. So in the end, I learned to just go away, be by myself, and I didn't figure it out. I just lived, basically. I had a very simple life and things like that, which was good because that suited me. And then eventually, as I got a bit older, around about, well, it's my whole life, but if you really dig deep, I'd say about 28. I'm nearly 60, she's old. But around about 28, I had this pull in me to figure it out and find out. No idea where to go with it for a start. And I ended up meeting someone or peoples that were a bit on the spiritual weird side, like unusual. And they were into things that I weren't into, but I didn't know where else to go. So I just migrated around that idea. And it was only one afternoon that I was sitting in the office with this person, and I had this very strange feeling when someone came in. And lucky for me, I got to sit with them for a few minutes while they were waiting for their appointment with someone else who was an empath. And I started talking to them. And like I said, 28, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was like, fuck me. They could look at me like I'm an idiot. But I had a feeling of them all the time. And I was just like, you get this pull. If anyone who's a channel or empath like I am, you get a pull or a feeling. You can feel their need to be out. They're asking for help, basically. So you can feel their need for help. And I just keep saying to myself, shut up. Don't say anything. Please don't do that. Don't do it to me. Don't make a fool of me. And I was very lost at that time and alone. I just didn't know where to go anyway. So I was kind of stuck in a who am I, where do I go sort of phase. So I got talking to this young lady. She's around about my age group. And my mouth started moving. You know, when you're a channel, they push, your energy pushes, your soul pushes to speak. And you get like, I got to say something. So we started talking. Now, when I was speaking to her, I spoke very quietly. Wasn't egoic. I know, all that jazz. It was just like, oh, by the way, how do you feel like this? Are you okay? Blah, blah, blah. So in the end, that's what started me, opened me up. And I started just going from there. So I've walked through Catholicism, spirituality, New Age movement, but I wouldn't say I was fully engaged in the New Age movement because I'm a little different. I like to, like I said, ask questions. Why is that? What's that for? Is that real? Is it true? Can you prove that to me that I'm that person? So when people come to me, even to this day, I will go a little deeper than usual and I don't fluff it. I'm very honest, not an arrogant, bitch way. I'm just honest. How can I help you? Honest. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I started phasing into who am I? Why am I here? What's this all about? And even through the movement, I felt different. I didn't sort of relate to a lot of what I was seeing. I didn't relate to a lot of what others knew. I still needed proof. I wanted to know. Now, when you're like myself, if you've watched my previous interview with Corey, you'll see that I do talk to off-worlders, and there's a lot of contact for me physically, OBE, and everything else. I get it all in different types of ways. So the fact that I am a seer, I should say, a visionary. Is it a word, visioner? Today's new world is the word of the day, visioner. You can write that down. There you go. Give you something for free. I'm a visioner, whatever that means. But even though I'm seeing and experience all sorts of things and have been for so long, I still had that. But am I right? How real is this? I don't want to be the person who's using that lovely creative mind and making shit up. Because I'm the person who won't give anyone false hope. I won't pretend to tell you something to make you feel special or better. I will make sure that if I'm receiving it, it's got to be real or true. So having that type of nature and personality I think is what led me to here, which is where I am now, because I was meandering through what I thought I knew. And to be honest, I'm good at what I do. Not, like I said, an arrogant, narcissistic, know everything sort of person. I'm not like that. But I just love what I do. So therefore, when people come to me, it always resonates. There's never a question that it's right or wrong. So I could rely on that part of me at least, that at least if I was telling people information, I was seeing things, like I want to pull up now and pull up a visit, I'll see it. So I knew that I could rely on that, at least that part of myself. But it just it wasn't enough for me. It didn't fulfill something within me. Because, like, again, I'm a truth speaker. I chase the truth. I'm authentic. I'm honest. I got to know. I can't just read it out of a book. I don't read books. I never have. I'm lazy. They make me go to sleep. I don't read other people's stuff. I don't study books. I haven't done any modalities. I haven't done stuff like that. So I had to rely on myself. I had to trust me. So I got to a point 2 years ago when it really started deeply, mostly more so in the last probably 6 months, but definitely, or even less than that, 4 months, but definitely the last 2 years. That's mainly because I joined Darius's groups and things and his teachings. And I got to the point where I thought, if I don't do this now, at nearly 60, excuse my language, because I'm a bit naughty, fuck it. I'm out. I'll just go back to living my life, not give a shit. I just sit around and eat fucking. Well, I don't eat chocolate anymore because have you seen what's in chocolate? Don't eat chocolate, which is really sad because I like chocolate. Some of it's all right, the more natural stuff. But, sit around, eat biscuits or something, whatever you got to do, and drink coffee. And don't worry about it. Just get rid of all of it. You know what I mean? So I was kind of in that place. So then I entered into, what do I do now? And I remember saying to myself, to those that are always with us, that we love, and I said to them, you're going to have to help me to go further in this. You know what I mean? Like, take me deeper, further. I've got to know. Otherwise, I'm out. It's not fulfilling a truth within me. I need to know. I'm not getting enough I know within that. So it wasn't to do with anyone else or any other thing. It was just me. Just Mantha, as usual. So then I found Darius. You talk about things that happen. I do believe in you are what you think, you are what you create, and things like that. I know the power within the mind, I know the power within the self, I know the power of the soul. So I said to Soul, listen here, Soul, bring something, show me something, or I'm going to just pop out and forget all of it. I'm not going to help people. I'm not going to teach. I'm not teach as in, I'm a teacher, but, not going to help people. I don't want to do it anymore. So it pretty much happened within that hour. It was pretty much that straight away. And that does happen for Manfi. And up popped Darius J. Wright. In my feed, I hadn't been looking at anything. I think it floated around a bit of near-death experience here and there because I know about that because my husband's had one. I've had a near-death, but not as a near-death like you think. I was just in between. And up he pops, and that's what started this learning. So that led me into, how do I do this then? If this is real and true, and trust me, I had my blinkers on, as they call them. I took the rose-coloured glasses off, Kimmy. Took the glasses off and thought, if you're going to look at this, you want to look at it with an open heart and your eyes open. No more fluffy, stupid, Maranthy, crappy shit. So I went in, saw him. It's when you know something within you that you just go, this is it. And that's what happened for me, to make it really quick. That's what happened. I went, this guy knows. Every part of my soul jumped. Not the man. It's not about the man. It's about the information. It's not about me. It's about the information. And I felt him. I felt his information. I don't even watch about 10, 15 minutes. And I just knew. I looked at him and I went, he knows. He knows. He knows something. And I've not seen that before, to be honest. I've got to be honest about that. I'd not met that. There's an energy that comes off people of knowing. There's a difference between I think I know and I follow, or I become a part of a belief system and things like that. There's a difference between that and truly knowing. And he had the truly knowing. So that's when I followed. I went in, joined his little repertoire, and I watched. And I went in. So for me, it started as probably the first place I need to go to get my ass up and running on this, if this is where I'm meant to be, is I've got to learn how to do it. So, as I said before, I won't go into his protocols because it's an unethical behaviour. If I don't know it, I'm not going to tell you I know it. If I haven't seen it, I'm not going to pretend I've seen it. If I don't understand it, I'm not going to tell you that I do. I'm that person. I've got a huge bullshit radar. I won't give you the bullshit, put it that way. So how it started for me is that I went through his protocols, I went through his ideals, and it didn't happen for me straight away because I had a lot of fear, I realised. Not fear as in fear like everything afraid. I just had this, I think, to be honest, I've been thinking about that last few days when I was last speaking to Corey, because we were talking about it. What was I really afraid of when it came to this stuff? What I was really afraid of is it being a whole lot of bullshit, to be honest. That I was fooling myself again and I couldn't rely on this and it's just another movement. Last thing I need to be is part of another movement. And because it clouds your judgment, And it doesn't always show you truth. It shows you perceptions. So I was afraid because I thought, if this is a lie and I'm going to put that much effort into it, I don't want to be completely wasting my time again. I don't want to create another identity of who I think I am, what I'm supposed to believe, and the perception of others' beliefs about that. I was really just didn't want that. And I said to myself, well, just try. That's all you can do. So for me, won't go into the protocols how he does it, like I said, because it's not the right thing to do. For me, I started with lying down in my room. I'd lie on the bed, shut the dogs out because I've got 2 little chihuahuas, and you know what? They're bed hoggers. They take up all the bloody bed. And I just said to my husband, I just want to go and just do this and see how I feel. So it took me a while to get through the fear, and I realized it wasn't always all fear. It was adrenaline. I had adrenaline of excitement because I was like, something new, and you're always like a kid. Oh my God, oh my God, and all that jazz. So I laid down. I have, I started with 2 different things. So I have a sleep mask. Now, the reason I use a sleep mask is it keeps all the light and distraction out, especially if you're going to do it during the day. It's more recommended at nighttime because you're going to get into a place of sleep. So I had a sleep mask. I still use it occasionally. I sometimes have earplugs, just the ones, the soft ones you place in to keep the outside noise out. Distractions can interfere in the sleep state that you're going to get into. And I then occasionally I'll take those out and I'll use good earphones. Sometimes I've used the ones I plug into my laptop because, then you've got plenty of time to do this. You don't have to rush. Other times I just use normal Bluetooth and things like that. Now, the reason I use those is, one, to keep out outside noise so that I don't get disturbed and woken up. The other reason is I use binaural beats and music. They're great. They help you to calibrate and harmonize the left and right hemisphere of the brain. I find how it works for me is it brings me into a more relaxed state where I'm able to focus on something else while I go into the process of what I'm going to go into. Then I get really comfy. I make sure that I'm literally setting myself up to go to sleep, basically. So in the beginning, I did it at different times. A few times I tried during the day. I just found I wasn't tired enough to get into the place of exiting the body. But it didn't matter because I learned so much during that period of time of how to exit, what I should do, how I feel comfortable or not comfortable, and little things like that. So that worked really well for me. So it took me about 6 or 8 weeks, around about there somewhere. I've lost count because it's 2 years, but it's around about there that then I started to experience things. So the other thing is, so you've got to make sure you're very comfortable. It's like you're going to go to bed. That's basically what you're going to create. You're going to go to sleep. You are going to get rid of all outside sensory. So you're going to deprive yourself of any noise, light, or anything whatsoever. Some people have gone to the extremes of where they blacken out the room, but that's not necessary. As long as the sleep mask is a good one. You can buy the ones too that I've got one somewhere so help me, I couldn't find it at the moment. It's gone. Anyway, there is ones you can buy that are a sleep mask with their own Bluetooth headphones. They're really good because they're more comfortable. You can roll on each side and sleep with those. So if you can find yourself a sleep mask with its own earphones, or they're like little round ones, Bluetooth activated, they're really comfortable. They're a lot more comfy, but you can use whatever you like. So you're going to create an environment of deprivation so that you're not disturbed. You're going to get very, very comfortable. It's recommended to go at nighttime. Do it at night when you go to sleep, because what you're really doing is you're going to set yourself into sleep to the point where you get to the brain waves. So you get your theta, delta, and all those that you probably heard about to do with sleep and brainwave activity. So you're going to slow the body down into a sleep wave so that when you lie down, you're going to let yourself go, and you're going to get yourself to a point where the body eventually goes to sleep. So that's why you've got to be nice and comfy. So recommended mostly at night time, at least then you're going to sleep anyway, because that's when you exit the body. Everyone exits at night time in their sleep. It's a normal process. But we're just going to learn how to do that fully awake, conscious, and in control. There's a difference. So eventually I got to the point where what I was doing wasn't getting me into a deep enough sleep, but I was having moments. The other bit that I realized that some of the moments remind me of a very deep meditation where the body lets go, goes to sleep, but the mind's still active, because in this process, you are still conscious, aware, focused, and active in the mind. There's the difference. You're not going to sleep into dream state. Sometimes you will, sometimes you don't. So I allowed myself to just get really comfy. Now, the beauty is that I did have moments of movement, and what it is you're going to eventually train yourself to let go to the point where you are on the verge of sleep, and the deepest sleep brainwave activity process, where then you enter into what is known as sleep paralysis. So it's the deepest state. Usually takes about 90 minutes. The sleep cycles go in waves of 90 minutes. So you'll go light sleep, just dozing off, deep sleep, light sleep, just dozing off, deep sleep. That's why you keep waking up, rolling over, and things like that. But in this process, we are actually heading to the deepest state of sleep that we can get to, because that's where we want to head. So we eventually get to the point of sleep paralysis. Now, sleep paralysis creates a lot of fear for some people, because we've been taught, especially if we've been in around certain belief systems, that at night time, if you're going into deep sleep, into sleep paralysis, which we all do, it's a normal state of sleep, that you're either under attack, the monsters have got you, something's coming in to get you. There's a lot of fear-based beliefs around sleep paralysis, but it's a natural state where we normally exit the body anyway. So if you've got any fear of having that feeling, being in sleep paralysis, you need to face that. You need to learn to let go in that place and allow the fear just to dissipate and run away and go, because nothing's going to harm you. I can tell you now, one of the things that Darius speaks of that's true that I've experienced myself is that the soul is untouchable. You are a complete power within the soul yourself, energy within you. You are literally a created God, and therefore nothing can touch you. The only times you have odd things is what pretty much comes under what do you believe. So if you believe or have a fear, or you have a belief system that teaches you fear, well, then you're going to experience things that you're not comfortable with. So you learn to get your mindset out of that and let it go and get away from it, because it's not going to do you any service but a bloody annoyance, basically. You are fully in control. This is the idea of OBE. The OBE experience is being fully in control of the soul, in control of the exiting, and in control of the awakening state when you've left the body. So it's very similar to near-death. They sort of sit together. They're the same thing. Just OBE is you're in control, where near-death experience is usually shoved out of the body for some traumatic stress or other reason. That's the only difference. So in my process, it took me a while, but in the months, those times, I decided to record myself, because I wanted to know if I was making it up and it wasn't happening. I was having moments where I could feel myself moving and rolling. I could feel my legs coming up. I've sat up a few times during that learning period, and I wanted to know if it was true or not. So I ended up putting in my laptop. You can do it any way you want, any way that you can actually record yourself, and you can see for yourself proof that this is truly happening and it's real. So the few times I'd sat up and my legs have moved and my arms have moved, which is the soul moving within the body when you're in that deep sleep paralysis state before it leaves and exits. It's literally you're working your way through, breaking through that magnetic field that sits around the body that holds the soul in. So it's quite a powerful force. I didn't realize till I came out how powerful that pull is of the magnetic field, but you're actually the process of pulling out the magnetic field. So you're going to have lots of different experiences. So I was at that stage just having the sitting up. I was having my legs pulling up, because I was getting to the point where I was releasing the fear of all this and fears that I may have had within myself that I wasn't aware of anything whatsoever. And I was learning to let go. Now, one of the beauties of my nature, because I'm a channel and the work I do to help other people, I have a natural ability to go deep without any practice. So I don't sit and do meditations. I've learned to do bits and pieces now, but I've not been one who sat and meditated for hours and trained myself to get here. I was born that way. So I can naturally let go deep, step into the soul energy and sit there a little bit like someone who's meditating. So I can let go in that moment. So that was a bonus for me. I wasn't a huge flight or fight type person where I had a lot of adrenaline in my nature. I'm naturally quiet. But I still had fears and I still had excitement and adrenaline during the process. So I eventually learned to let go. I learned that when I was getting into, sometimes I could hear myself snoring. She's pretty. I could hear the snoring. I knew that my body was asleep, but I could hear everything. I was aware of everything. So I knew I was getting into the place to exit. So I learned eventually let go, to let go, to let go. Just listen to the music if I had music on. And you'd eventually get to the point where you can feel this very floaty feeling. It's almost like going into anesthesia, where you get that floating feeling that you can't feel your body, but you're still conscious. It was kind of a bit like that. So because I was going through a lot of that, but I hadn't come out yet, I decided to record myself. And I wanted to know, because I thought I was moving. When you get into the stuff, you can't tell any different. So it's real. It's more real than here. It is more real than you even understand, or such times it happens for you. So I recorded myself, and I realized that a couple of times I'd sat up, rolled, and things like that, and had movements floating. I hadn't moved my body at all. There was not 1 inch in my body that had moved. It was dead asleep, literally out cold. So then I knew that I could trust what I was being told, what Darius was teaching, that it was really happening and I wasn't making it up to feel special. So I went deeper with it. I went further and deeper to the point where I eventually exited the body. I actually popped out and I was standing in my bedroom. So I have spoken about all that's on the interview with Corey if you want to hear about that. But that's about as much as I'll just share with you, because to be honest, these are protocols that are Darius's teaching. They're his. He's taught us how to do this. So if you want to know any more, go and see him, Darius J. Wright, okay? Go and read what he's all about. Go and be a part of that, and then you can learn from there. So eventually, by having some process of exiting the body, leaving, standing in the room, and other things that I've already spoken about, one of the very first experiences I had beside what I told and I've spoken to Corey about in the interview you can watch, I started having the experiences of walking through my house, fully conscious, fully awake. My first experiences were a bit weird, where I could feel my feet, I could feel the floor, I knew it was real, I felt the door, I felt everything. It is more solid, the colours are brighter than here, everything's more solid than here. If I touch this table, I can feel it. But when I was out of my body and I've touched objects like doors and all that sort of stuff, it's far more solid than a word can explain. It's bizarre. And in the early piece for this one, I realized that my experiences are amazing, like everyone else's. You're amazed when you first come into your body. You are no different than you are here. As I said to Corey, I'm the same asshole over there as I am here, but in a nice way. I don't mean that in an arsehole way, but it's still the same old me. I thought the same, I felt the same. I am the same in that aspect when I'm out of my body. But the beauty of when you're out of your body and out of here and then truly in the soul body is that you don't have those erratic emotions and that what we feel when we're here of the nature of the personality we are. But we are the same. So I thought the same. I was a lot calmer though, and just felt more at home than I do here. So this experience, and all experiences are valuable. All learning through all this is valuable. So if you don't have any exiting or you just have something small, or you're just getting into the place where you're nice and calm, but you haven't experienced anything, they all matter. To be honest, I got the shits in the beginning because I hadn't exited yet and I wanted to, as you do, because it's exciting, right? But I realized no matter what I did, whether it was an experience like these or nothing at all, or just me getting into a calm place, or just me, getting into a deep sleep, everything mattered because I'm learning as I'm going, and everything I'm learning is going to be valuable for what I experience. So it wasn't always about the experience. It wasn't always about what I'm seeing. It's about how you feel when you come back that makes the difference, and I'll talk about that after. So for this one, I had felt a little bit of rolling. So what is, you're lying very still, but you can feel yourself inside moving, and it feels like you're floating, like floating on water or floating on air, and you can feel your inner self moving, which is the soul ready to hop out. You learn to stay very calm. I know when I'm going to exit, I get a certain feeling, not all the time, but a lot of the time, where I get extremely peaceful, very calm, very letting going. So I know to stay still. As soon as I feel anything, and it was just a fingers moving, stay still for a moment, because I'm in sleep paralysis until I'm ready to exit. And sometimes there's moments where you got to push yourself out and make yourself go, like get out, go, push, pull yourself, because the magnetic field of the body wants to hold you here. The body doesn't want you to leave because it thinks you're dying. And to be honest, if you have fear of death or anything like that, you need to face it, because there is no death. We are eternal. We are forever living. There is no death. There's only this body that lets go on that idea and goes and passes into the ground, basically. So I knew I was moving. I said to myself, don't fight this. Let go. Go into the calmest, peaceful, the beautiful place you can possibly enter into. And then when you feel the body's about to pull or shift or whatever it is, if you've got to push, I'll push. Otherwise, what happened for me, luckily that time, I didn't have to force anything, didn't have to break the magnetic field, which is the auric energy around you in the body, holds the soul in. Otherwise, you'd be popping out all the time. I popped out and I was in my room. And I went, okay, obviously I'm out. I felt strange. I'm getting better now. I don't have that anymore. But in the beginning, I felt like I was walking on marshmallows. And it's like being conscious, aware, but fluffy. Like my feet were fluffy, like I'm walking on clouds. Now I'm more used to it because I'm used to the feeling. And I walked over to the doorway and I opened my bedroom door, which has a ensuite bathroom you walk through to go out into the other part of the house. There's two doorways, one's through the bathroom, one's to the side of the bedroom. So I went through the bathroom, which seems to be my thing, and I opened the door. Now, our sliding door is noisy. It's on rollers, and I thought, I'm not out, because I could hear everything. I could feel the wood on the door. I could feel the door handle, and it was so real that I didn't think I was out of my body. I thought I was awake going to the bathroom or something. I was just up, and you wake up all of a sudden. So I stood at the door and I said to myself, just keep going, just in case. So I opened the door, and it was because my feet were a little bit weird in the beginning, I realized I was out. I said to myself, don't look back, just keep going. So I closed the door and I thought, damn it, I've probably woken everybody up. And I looked just quickly, not at myself. I looked and I realized that nobody was with me. Nobody heard the door. Nobody woke up. And I've got two little chihuahuas that I sleep with. Those little things, they'll bark at a flea fart. So they hadn't moved, especially my little teeny weeny one. She follows me everywhere. She's like, we call her Velcro because she's stuck to me constantly. She's even here. She's underneath my feet. So if she doesn't move, I'm definitely out. So I realized I was out, and I thought to myself, should I go and look in the mirror? No, just keep going. Now, the reason I keep going and keep saying no to a lot of things like that, I could feel the pull of the body. I could feel the magnetic field. So I was like, oh, keep going. I could feel that pull a little bit. I thought, if I can just get away from my body, it'll be easier. So I went through the second door. There's a second doorway. Closed that. And I went out into my lounge, and nothing was different. So everything that I was experiencing was exactly identical to when you're awake everyday life. The room was the same. The house was the same. And I thought, what the hell do I do now? Now, one of the things you learn too is set an intention if you want to go and experience something. So if you want to go, when I get in my body, I want to go and see this. I want to experience that. I want to know that. So you set intentions all the time. And for that day, I hadn't really set much of an intention. I just wanted to get out, basically. And I thought, well, maybe I could go and see something that I'm used to seeing, something that's more comfortable, that I know, because as a channel, I see these beings. I see lots and lots of things like that in the realms. And I thought, maybe just stick to something that I'm comfortable with. There was nothing there at the time, nothing in the house. There was no beings that I saw. There was no, family, nothing like that. And I walked through and I went out. I've been out the back many times. At this time, I decided to go out through the second area, which we've got a double lounge. I went out there and I went out the front veranda. We're a high-set house and it's quite a drop. And I went out there and I stood in the veranda and I looked out and everything was the same. The neighborhood was the same. Excuse me. The sky was the same. The one thing I did notice is when you're coming out of your body, how bright everything becomes when you get used to being out. So there was no sun, no moon. That was interesting. Maybe talk about that another time. So eventually I had to figure out how come it was so bright. And I found out through Darius that our soul is the light. It emanates the light that we're seeing. So we are the light that we are seeing every day. That's another deep subject that I don't know a lot about, but if you want to know more, go and see Darius. And so my soul light was so bright that it looked like the brightest day you could ever think of. And I leaned over the balcony, I looked down and went, ooh, that's a long way down. What do I do now? I said to myself, well, you can do anything in your soul body. You're in full command right now. I'm like, okay, maybe could I jump off the balcony? And I said to myself, because I'll repeat it again. I'm going to repeat it 1,000 times. When you're out of your body, it's very, very real. It's more real than here. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. So I'm sitting in there and going, you can't jump off there, you fool. Crash land. It's not a good look when you face plant yourself on the grass. And I said, no, bugger it. I'm just going to take the leap of faith. I'm going to do it because, as Darius said, you are full command of your soul. When you're out of your body, you command everything. And I thought, well, let's find out if I'm Superman, which was really crazy because I kept saying to myself, what if you are awake, you fool? How are you going to explain that to the ambulance man when you've landed on the grass and you thought you were out of your body? Because again, it felt so real. I wasn't sure. Was I awake or was I out? So I'm laughing away to myself. And I thought, well, let's find out. Oh, I tell you, it was the weirdest feeling in the world because I had that little bit of, oh shit, should I? A little bit of fear came in. But I did it anyway. I thought, just go. You're going to go anyway, so what the heck? So I jumped off. Out I went off the veranda. Luckily for me, Mantha was having an out-of-body experience and she wasn't awake. So there was no harm to my body. I remember laughing at myself saying, you reveal. Anyway, so I leapt out. I didn't see anything else at that point. Now, quite often I have this very unusual thing where I repeat, where I exit to a certain place, which I still don't know where that is. But it's obviously someone else's house, and I'm really sorry that I'm entering into your house, but I've had that for years off and on. I ended up walking through obviously somebody else's place, home. I walked through the wall. I didn't feel the wall at that stage. I've had experiences where I can feel everything within the walls, everything in the floor. You can feel the joints, the timber, the nail. You can feel everything, basically. And that's why you get used to getting rid of fear so that you don't freak out in experiences. So I ended up walking through their place. I can still see it to this day because I've been there so many times. It's bizarre. It seems to be exiting through there. But anyway, so I walked into their place. They had a kitchen behind it. There was a small, square round table. I'm not really sure about that, with little chairs up against the wall. Quite often the two of them are sitting there. Sometimes I thought I felt an animal, but I'm not sure, maybe a dog or something. Not sure about that one, so don't quote me on that. And I look at them and go, sorry, I'm just coming through. Now, I know they're aware of me. That's the odd part. They are absolutely, so they've got to be empaths or something, or maybe they're in a OBE themselves and we're there at the same time, because you can do that. You can meet people when you're out of body experiences, be there together. So I walked out They've got this little table against the wall. They've got a couch beside that. There's something to the right-hand side, and then you look forward, and there's this sliding door, glass or whatever sliding door type area. So it didn't seem a very big place, or it's just a room that they use, so that isn't very big. And I just felt like I know these people. Like, I still haven't figured out who they are. Maybe one day I'll see it clearer. But I see them a lot, and I walk through their place a lot. "Hi, how you going? It's just me again. How are you? Sorry." And I'm just passing through, I promise. Because when you're out of your body, as I've spoken before when Corey was interviewing me, you have to be ethical and moral. When you're out of your body, all thoughts are real. You see everything, you hear everything that people are saying and thinking. You can see their thoughts, feel their thoughts. You're in their private space. So you've got to learn to be moral and ethical about that. So my nature is anyway that I'm that person, but I knew to just go hi, and they were aware of me. And I said, "I won't be long, I'm just coming through." Again, I said, "I'm sorry, coming through your house." So I walked out the front slider. Now, when I walked through the front slider, I don't remember seeing anything outside, so I didn't see outside their property. And I ended up flying again, and I remember flying over, like, trees. So maybe these people live out of town somewhere. But I was flying over the trees, and I could feel everything. There was a few times there that my flying got a bit scary whiffy, and I keep hitting branches, which I don't know if anyone else has this, but sometimes in my outer body, I can feel absolutely everything on every level. So I could feel the branches hitting me and going, "Oh, crap." So maybe I need to come up a bit higher, and I kept flicking above the treetops. And then next minute I knew I was coming to a place. Now this was out of here. So I was obviously running through what they call round 1, heaven, here, earth, and I was breaking through into I was heading obviously to the next realm, which is full of all your galactics and all those sort of beings, but also before that, I knew that I was gonna break out of the construct, out of here, so the 12 realms, 13 being the construct, the 12 realms or heavens, and I had broken through somewhere, and I didn't see this time where I'd broken through, so I didn't see the waters above, I didn't see the firmament or anything like that, I didn't look back and see anything, I haven't had that yet, and I ended up coming through the treetops, and I ended up coming down into a place. Now, it was familiar, I just feeling I knew where I was, but I wasn't sure in that moment. So I walked further, I landed and I walked, didn't see anything else around me, so I didn't know if I landed in the trees, in the forest, in a place, but it didn't seem like Earth. It was definitely not this realm, I'm telling you now. So I reckon I've broken through the construct. And I ended up walking up to this area, and I'll put an image up in a moment while I'm talking because that'll help you understand. I ended up walking towards an area, and there was something ahead of me, and I went, "I'm gonna go and see what that is." So you keep walking, and I'll put the image up for you so that gives you an idea, and I walked up to these 2 circular-looking things on the ground. And I had no idea what they were. So I walked closer, and this is what I saw. I only saw 2. I know there was more, but there's only 2 that I experienced. Take that one off. There we go. And let me just enlarge that for you. So I walked up, and before I saw what was in the background, which is the people, I walked up, and there was 2 areas that had these 2 very large circular-looking pools on the ground. Now, I'm not sure what was around. I didn't take any notice of that. I was just more focused on where I was. And I walked to the first pool on the right-hand side, and that pool was, like I said, they were quite big. They weren't small compared to the size of myself. And the one on the right-hand side that I chose to look at first, I walked up to the edge of it, and they were definitely on the ground as you're seeing them. This image is very, very close, not 100%, because like I said, GTP only can do so much, but I got as close as I could within reason, so it's not identical. And I looked down at the one on the right-hand side, and I saw water. And I remembered that moment while I was out that Darius spoke of the pools, or pools, however you want to say it. I'm not Australian, I'm New Zealander, I'm from New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi, so my vowels are a little different. So pools, try and get it right for people to understand. Water bodies, how's that sound? And I saw the first one was slightly murky. It kind of reminded you of a pond, but not a pond where you have fish and things like that. That's why I tried to get this image a little bit. There wasn't any rocks or any greenery around the edges like this. That didn't exist like that. It was more just what was in the center, where it was that sort of a greeny color, lots of water. It was all water that I could see in that moment. And I remember going, that's unusual. And I remember Darius saying about the constructs. He has an image that you can go and see on his website. I can't put that up here because it's not mine. Where he shows you what the constructs actually look like. Some of them look like the photo above on the right-hand side, and some of the images I have in my backdrop where you see them as round glass. I call them marbles because they look like marbles. Round like that, but they don't have all the stuff on the outside like that image, but you can see into them. So this one I didn't put my head into to have a look, which I should have, but I was still learning. And I saw the pool that was sort of a greeny colour, murky, and I went, that's what Darius spoke about, the pools. I used to have, in my line of work, which as a channel and empath, I have a lot of visions, I have a lot of visitations of places I go anyway before I learned out-of-body experiences, and I used to always walk into water in a lot of my visions. So when I was going to places, I used to call the stuff the pools of remembrance. And funny enough, when I entered into out-of-body experiences with Darius J. Wright and others, that's when they started talking about this stuff, and I went, holy crap, okay, the water's above, the water's below, there's a firmament, there's a water that we go through and come into when we enter into this construct, the 12 rounds. And he shows little images very similar with the pools on the ground. And I remember that in the out-of-body experience in that moment going, holy cow, these are the pools. But I've always called them the pools of remembrance, and I didn't realise that I was already entering water, having experiences, out-of-body experiences, seeing these pools, walking into the pools when I was channeling to enter other places. But I do now. So the beauty of learning from Darius is that I now have the information, the truth. So then I walked to around it a bit, and I didn't see down into it. Like I said, still learning, just decided just to have the experience. And then I went to the one that was it wasn't to the left, it was just sort of back a bit to the left. And that was completely different. Again, quite large. Actually, this one was a little bigger, round, completely round, absolute. Didn't have all the rocks and that around like the image, but it had this clear, beautiful, blue crystal water. I remember going, well, that's beautiful. I wonder what that is. Now, again, I walked up. I did not put my head into it. I probably should have. Could have walked into it and had a look. But like I said, still learning. Didn't understand fully what I should be doing. And I remember going, wow, look at these. That's exactly what Darius said. So therefore, I'm seeing the constructs. I'm seeing the pools, etc. And I thought, wow, that's great. So then I went back to the other one, went back to this one again, had a couple of looks, and then I looked up and I had this feeling of being drawn to something. And I knew it was like a feeling of people were there, but there was somebody there I was supposed to see. When I looked up and looked to my right, I had a feeling that there was people everywhere in the distance, but a fair distance from where I was. There was others that I felt were close around looking at the same things I was looking at the construct pools on the floor. Just same as me, just having that experience. And so I pulled up out of the body again. I lifted off the ground a little bit. I forward movement. And again, I remember going through an area, flying through, moving forward. And I landed again in the vast distance. I don't know how far away it was from pools. Oh, it was just like, just there basically, but it could have been another construct or another place outside the construct, another area within this area, which has the constructs themselves. And I landed and I walked and I saw all these people, similar to what you've got now, a bit more spaced out. I couldn't tell if they were all human or other species, other types of people. I didn't have much notice of that. I just remember just walking through all of them, and I got to a point where there was these people to my left-hand side, and I had a feeling that I knew them. So that's where I went. I went, no, I've got to go here. That's the area I feel I'm drawn to and feel that it's where I'm supposed to be. And I walked up and there was others around, heaps of others, but there was these two gentlemen having a conversation. Both had dark hair, and I'll talk about that, who they are. And I walked up to the first one. He was on the right-hand side of where they were standing. And I said to him, hi. And they're like, they just knew me. Now, a lot of the times when you have contact with others, whether it's in these realms, out of the construct, wherever it may be, they don't always talk with anything other than telepathy, which is mind-to-mind conversation. So you don't always hear them talking to you like we're talking. You'll hear them within you, so within the body or within the mind. And that's how we were communicating. So their mouths weren't moving and things like that, like a normal conversation. We were just talking with telepathy. That's quite common. And I remember looking at him. They were in robes, so they were in some sort of garment. And it was like a white, and I think they had, from what I remember, they had symbolisms on their garments. And I said to him, hi, how are you? We were having the conversation of, haven't seen you for a while. To them, it's probably only been a moment, but to me, it's been a very long time. And I said, are you someone I know? Are you a guide or a family or, all those sort of questions? And he said to me, I used to be a guide of yours. And I said, oh, wow, wonderful. And he said, but I'm not a guide for you anymore. He said, I'm still here and around. We're all still together. But my role to assist you and be around you is no longer the role I play for you. And he said, now the role has been given to this gentleman. And I looked to the left and there was another gentleman. They were similar looking. And they were very beautiful looking men. They were very, very, very peaceful. They weren't like us, but they have a sense of humor, but they're not always like Marantha, where they're, like a 5-year-old inside. And they were very focused and very calm, very beautiful. And so I turned to the left to talk to this gentleman, and they were so happy to see me, to be honest. When you exit the body, they celebrate you. They love when you return. They love when you come home, when you come to see them in certain places like this. And they were both extremely happy to see me, but this gentleman was really happy. He was, you can't say the word excited because they don't peak like that, but his joy just radiated out of him. So they don't peak with excitement like the human excitement where we act like we're on sugar. They were very joyful, loving. And I said to him, oh, hi. And he put his arms around me. He put his arms around my waist. He pulled me in, and it was almost like we loved each other in a way that no words could give you. And he just smiled, and I said, because, they remember you, but we don't always remember them. This is the part of the out-of-body experience, is to remember what is truth, but to remember home, to remember all things. So he was very protective over me in that way, very loving. He wanted to make sure that while I was here, I felt safe, that I felt loved, and that I was okay. And he pulled me in closer, and I remember the feeling, the love and the camaraderie and the joy even in myself. And I said to him, so you're a guide then, are you? Because like I said, when you're on the other side, you're still you. I didn't swear, which was really, for a change, was a good thing. But I said, so you're a guide of mine, are you? Because I don't remember. And he said, he sent a telepathic message through my body, yes. And I said, so who are we then? Who are we right now? Because there's 3 of us that I'm aware of. There would have been probably more, but I only spoke to these guys. And he said, we are Pleiadian. And they had a slightly darker hair, which comes into another experience I've had that if I've got time, I'll talk about today, or I might put it on another one. And he said, "We are Pleiadian, and we love you beyond measure." And I felt that when he said it. And the more they talked, the more that we didn't talk about anything major, but the more we talked and spent time together, the more the love grew, the more I remembered my connection to them. I've definitely had a Pleiadian incarnation, that's for sure, that I do know, absolute. So I knew who Pleiadians were, but there's different types. Most people see Pleiadians like this, and I'll put it up for you. That's an idea of how Pleiadians look. And in my interview with Corey, I speak about them. If you want to know more, go and watch the interview on my YouTube channel with Corey and myself, where we talk about the Pleiadians, what I saw, who they are, and things like that. And they glisten and they're beautiful, and they have these incredibly blue eyes, and they are gorgeous beyond belief, but gorgeous in a way that their energy is their beauty. And I could feel their energy was their beauty in that moment. So it reminded me what I already knew, but it was more intense. So there's one of the more intense feelings I've had with them. And I said, "Well, where are you guys? What are you connected to? What are you doing right now?" And he said that, "Well, we've had moments where we are here, like yourself, but we are also off-world in round 2, galactics, obviously. And we're also," he said, "I'm also I travel a fair bit in the universe." So he pointed that he was on a ship, on a vessel, and that was part of some of his role to traverse and travel, then come and help me, and then go and have his own experiences and things like that. Now, one thing I want to make really clear too is that when you have conversations and get to meet beings either in this construct or out of the construct itself and to other places where they go as well, they are no different than you. They're not higher than you. They're not hierarchy. They don't know more than you in that per se. They just remember more. So them being in round 2, they're still not all knowing. People tend to see galactic, especially when they look like this, and sometimes you've got to make sure that that is who you're seeing and it's not a lie. But when they look like this, we assume that they are above us, better than us, hierarchy. Well, there is a false belief system too that comes into a lot of the galactics are in different realms. They're 9D realm, they're in 11D realm, and all this. They're not. They're just level 2. They're right with us. Right at the. We're literally in. If you call it as a realm, we're here. They're just there. So they're next door, and that's why they can have such a close communication with us by UFO visitations, them coming, which is what I've spoken about, where I've seen them, had them physically come to my home, and other things, experiences off-world with them, because they're right there. They're right in that realm next to us. So they can break through the veil quite easily to have communication and time together. And we spoke about that. So it's just that they're more aware of themselves. They've evolved a little bit. Their consciousness has evolved forward a little bit more than us, but they still don't know everything. They're still learning themselves, and they are still working their way through remembrance and consciousness. So they had slightly dark hair. Like I said, you get different Pleiadians. Most of them look like this. They look like this, but they have a slightly darker hair, which means they're just from a different area within the Pleiades, or in the kingdoms in round 2 of the galactics, and because there's many kingdoms in each realm. And he wanted me to know and remember what love is. So it wasn't that we spent a moment of great, talking about technological advancement and things like that. He wanted me to remember who I was. He wanted me to remember who they are and the connection we have to all things, which is love. So he pulled me in closer and just pretty much wrapped himself around me in that way, so I could feel him. And when you feel galactics like this, or you go even outside the construct, the love and the places you get to visit, the love that you experience, I to be honest, you have to live it to understand that love. There's no real word for it. We don't have a strong enough vocabulary or understanding of how to explain that. But it's the greatest love, which is the greatest love of all things, which is creation, that you could ever experience. And he wanted me to remember that because I was going through a lot of change at that time. I was no longer feeling the same. And I've spoken about that in my interview with Corey. I didn't feel the same anymore. And one of the things that happens when you have out-of-body experiences, that you go and have these experiences, whether it's just in these realms, outside of this construct, other places within the whole of creation, you come back changed. But the change you're coming back with is not the experience you're having, because that is wonderful. This experience is wonderful. Like, how cool is this? But the bottom line is that's not what it's about. This is just the experience you're having to remember what you already know. The soul already remembers, already knows. It's just you remembering. So he wanted me to experience the remembering so that when I came back to here to my body, to this place, I came back with exactly what is true and what I know, and that's what's changed me. So you come back in a way that you know the truth. Nothing can tell you otherwise. No one or anyone or anything can tell you that you don't know. And it's not that you're all knowing and all fucking encompassing. No, it's just that you've experienced the greatest love that is true. God's source, whatever you want to call it, it's true creation is love beyond the love that we know. So he said to me, he said, get comfortable. And I know at the end of it why he said this, and I'll tell you. He said, just relax. I was like, okay. I'm like, what the hell's he going to do? Because last time I've had some contacts with these guys, especially what is known as Arcturian, who I speak about in the interview as well, the blue peoples. They took me out of my body and took me somewhere. So I went, hello, am I going somewhere? But he said, no. He said, I'm just going to help you to remember who you are, what your soul energy and who you truly are. And he grasped me very, very tightly. And we stood together. And he said, I'm going to place my hand up in front of you. And I want you to, I'll take this off now because you've already seen it. Sorry, there you go. I want you to place your hand on my hand. So he put his hand up like this, and he said, I want you to place your hand on my hand. We're going to put our hands together, and you're going to breathe, because he knew the impact, the cheeky bugger. Didn't tell me till later. I want you to breathe. I want you to let go. I want you to relax. And he said, I'm going to remind you of that which you are connected to, all things. And I'm like, okay. So I thought not much of it. And he put his hand up, and I placed my hand on his, and he sent an energy from himself. They both sent an energy, but it came from him first. And he said, breathe. And he sent me the greatest love. And I've had a few of these experiences, thank goodness. But this is a very early stage, so it was an impact. I want you to remember that and feel the greatest love that you've forgotten. And I'm like, oh, that'd be nice. Because I could feel him already, how beautiful he was, and the love that he knew was true. But I didn't know how powerful it was going to be. So he sent an energy from hand to hand and went through all of my body. And now I know why he had hold of me. And they thought it was amusing, by the way. Lovely. They went, she's going to get a hit. They sent the greatest love through me that I have forgotten, that nearly floored me. So the reason he had hold of me is so I wouldn't fall, because the impact of that love that he gave from the universe through him and his buddy, my buddy, through him, I had trouble holding it. It was so powerful that it nearly knocked me off my feet. And I remember going, holy shit. He said, just breathe through it. Take it on, remember. So I did. And I just stood there with him. And the emotion that came through me was intense. It was like I remembered and felt myself, not for the first time, because right? It's just that we forget by being here. But it ran through me with the greatest impact, that I remembered how much I am loved as I am, no matter what. And that's what Darius speaks of, the love. You are loved no matter what. And he wanted me to remember that. He didn't want to take me anywhere. He didn't want to take me on ship, like some of the other stuff I've experienced. He just wanted me to remember. And that was in the beginning of my learning OBE, to remember the greatest love that's within me, that I truly am, which is the soul. And I remember trying to breathe because it was so powerful. And I remember him looking up and then looking at me, and I knew when he looked up what he was talking about. He didn't have to tell me because I was feeling it. And he was going, this is who you are. This is who we all are. This is where we've come from. And I didn't want to let it go, to be honest. I wanted to stay there. Now, one of the things with an out-of-body experience, that you might get a moment one day where they ask you if you want to stay and not return to your body. And that's a big decision. And sometimes it's an easy decision. But that wasn't what they were asking me. I just felt a little bit of that, of wanting to stay there, to stay in that moment of forever, in the pools of remembrance area, out of the construct, with these other beings that were also there looking around and having their time together. And I said to him, what do I do now? And he didn't answer me. And I said, no, what do I do now? I said, how do I handle that? And he just sent me the feeling of, you don't handle, you just are. You just be. And I remember how much I missed them and how much I was loved by them, and many others, obviously, but just them in that moment, and how much I mattered, and how everything I thought I was, I thought I knew, I thought I'd learned, meant nothing, meant absolutely nothing. In that moment, it doesn't exist over there. So I just took on as much as I could that I could. Well, I handled it, but I didn't handle it, if that makes sense, because it was so strong. And I looked at him and he just smiled, and they looked at each other and they smiled, because to them, they were probably finding it amusing that I'd forgotten so much. And in that moment again, I asked my conversation, what do I do with this? What now? I knew I had to let go of everything I thought it was, my identity, my spirituality, how I saw things, what I thought I knew, and how I did things. I had to release all judgment, all fear, everything really. And I knew I was going to bring this back with me, because like I said, it's not about the experience you're having. They're wonderful. They're part of it, because like, God damn it, I want to see shit. Let's just be honest. I want to see things. I'm that girl. I want to go hard and fast and want to know. So I had it. And then as I stayed in that beautiful place, I still can remember him, what he felt like, you know. I then came back and I woke up. I came back to my body. So obviously that was enough for me in that time. Trust me, it was big. So that was my first that. I've had others, but that was the one that I wanted to bring in today, because I had some galactics in them, which people are interested in. The other part I had with Pleiadian is when I came back from that, and like I said, that wasn't the first time I've experienced that love. I've had others, but that was the one I wanted to share. You don't come back the same. You don't realize the impact of going home, and whether it's here or out of here, and the impact that has on you. It changes you completely. You wake up. You completely wake up. And you come back here and you don't feel the same. You don't think the same. The love still sits within you. So I still have it. It didn't stay there. It came back, which is what happens when you have out-of-body experiences. Every experience you have, whether it's something minute or grander or whatever it may be, you come back with downloads, you come back with information, you come back with a feeling, a knowing that the other side, the soul, everything is true and is real. And it's No one can take that away from you. So it's similar to a near-death experience where they will also exit through some other. They're not as conscious sometimes. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, depending on the trauma or what has happened to get them to be jumping out of the body. They come back and they talk about they're not the same. They are a totally different person. So I'm still me. I'm still a smart ass, but I don't feel the same. I don't think the same. I don't believe the same anymore. It had such an impact on me, all these experiences, and also the teachings of Darius have had a great impact on me as well, even before I got to experience anything, of how in command of ourselves we truly are, the reality of what we've forgotten, and the knowing of the soul. So it wasn't easy coming back with some of these things, because now I've changed. I feel a lot better. I have that love. I know what love is. I have moments. I'm still me, still have my ebbs and flows of being here, having the experience of being here. But I always return to love, no matter what that is. Even if it's something big and overwhelming, I'll still return to love. I know that much. So the other one I had with them was I popped out somewhere. This time I didn't have the rolling or movement or exiting out. I don't always have that now. A lot of times I'm popping out in the dream state. There's a process which you can learn through Darius of popping out through the dream bubble. So you're coming out of the dream astral. So I'd obviously popped out through a dream bubble, and I became conscious and aware. And how I know that that's not a dream, or you're not astraling and still in only 20 or 30% of consciousness, where you're aware of your situation, to be out of body and walking the soul and leaving the body, you're 100% out. You're 100% conscious. Dreams, astral visions, things like that, they're only a certain percentage. So you're getting a little bit of the information. You're not getting the entire truth of the experience. You might get some images and little things. They're different. So this time when I popped out, I was fully exited. I knew, because for me, the difference between being in those states and being out of body completely is that things will feel solid. So if I touch things, touch people, touch the experience, touch an object, it's real, it's solid, I can feel it, so I know I'm out. That's my little am I out routine. The experience will be completely 100% real. There's no dreaminess, there's no partially feeling something. It's 100% out, real, awake. And that's what happened. So for this one, I was already out. I had no pre-warning, pre-protocols or anything with that. I remember exiting. I must have exited through my house or somewhere like that. So I exited through a property, a home. I seem to do that. I like to walk through walls. Go figure. Anyway, so I walked through the wall, and I had an experience first before I went to the next experience with Pleiadians, because they wanted me to know the difference of what they were talking about and why they were showing me this, what this is about. So the first experience I had was I popped out into an area that was an indigenous culture, but I knew they were different because of their eyes and a few things, the way they looked, and some symbolisms and things that were going on. And they had, they felt like they were in confusion. They were not sure of themselves. They were definitely a part of here in this realm in that moment. They had an awareness that they were not just in the human realm. They were also something else, which is obviously part of the galactics and things like that. But they were trying to navigate and live here on this earth the best they could. So they're an indigenous culture. It could have been, it wasn't Aboriginal, which is where I am in Australia. They were more island nature looking a little bit. So, but there was a slight difference about their culture. They were struggling. They were in a lot of density, fear. They didn't handle here well, and they were doing their best to live the experience they were having while they were here. But it was a lot of not great, not good stuff. And I had empathy for that, because I knew what suffering was. I've been through suffering, as all of us have, And I had empathy for that because I knew that there was more to them, that they deserved love as they were. And there wasn't much I could do for them, but they just wanted me to see them and see the suffering and the struggle they were going through while they were here. And that made sense to me. I'm like, okay. Then I walked off to somewhere else. I kept going, and I entered into a similar indigenous looking culture. So they seemed similar, but I knew these guys were slightly different. So I definitely popped into realm 2, the galactic realm, for sure this time. And I'd gone into one of the kingdoms that were there, didn't know at first who they were. I remember walking up to, there was a group of them. They were the same people I'd spoken to that were here on this realm, realm 1, the earth realm, having the experience here. But they were in realm 2, and they knew who they were. Were the ones I spoke to first didn't know who they really were. They were kind of aware, but they were just having the experience here and finding it very difficult. So I entered into the galactic realm, round 2. I'd broken through there, and I was talking to them, and they had piercing blue eyes, slightly darkish hair, but they didn't show me their full selves. They wanted me to see the culture. They wanted to see who they were connected to, some of the culture they were connected to here, not as I know them. So they had a lot of had a lot of symbolism on their body. So even the ones first, there was a lot of what we'd call tattooing, but just symbolism was different. The first lot had a lot of tattooing, a lot of markings, a lot of expression of who they were, they placed on their body. These guys had an understanding of that, but theirs was different. It wasn't tattoos, it was more just their dressage. They also had gowns on, but they were a very solid looking people. That was the first bit they wanted me to see. They wanted me to know that they were the same people I'd met first here on the earth, but these are in round 2. I'm like, okay. And they spoke to me, just general things. It's always telepathy, okay? It's not like you and I talking, like I said before. True telepathy, talking mind to mind. And they explained to me how they were very concerned. They told me they were who they were. They were a Pleiadian culture. And they were very beautiful, and I'll explain that in a second. They glowed. Their energy was totally different to those upon the planet here. And they were speaking about their concerns for their own kind who are here upon this earth having the experience they're having. They knew that they were struggling. They knew they're suffering. And they were talking to me about their concerns of how they want people like myself who are remembering and waking up, of how they need love, that their kind and others, they talked about humanity as a whole. They talked about both really, but they were, at that moment they were talking about their own kind, that they knew that their species, so they're a Pleiadian, which is these people, but not looking quite like that. And they were worried about their own kind here, and they said to me that, is there anything in any way that I could bring back from here in remembering love to the culture that is here, so that the culture here can handle the experience they're having. So we talked about that just briefly, and then they started to soften a little bit, so I could see the Pleiadian imaging coming in, because I've had a fair bit to do with them, and their eyes are so blue, like the bluest blue that you can imagine, because out of body on the other side, whether it's rounds you're going into here in this construct or outside of the construct, these cultures, their eyes glisten. They're like, I call them glitter balls, because they're like the universe within their eyes. They're so connected to all things, so the whole of the universe. But they were very, very peaceful, very loving, a bit like the guys I'd spoken to before. And they were so happy that I had come, because I understood the difference between where they are and where kind are here. And we shared love for the Pleiadians that were here upon this round 1 heaven. They were here having the experience that needed it. So they were sending to me, giving to me what was needed for me to bring back for that reason. And I didn't bring it back and then do work when I came here. I didn't do like mission work and that sort of jazz. I didn't need to. Once you're entering into these places and that energy enters within you, you receive that love, well, that's already within you. You bring that download, you just bring it back as you are, and that just goes where it needs to go. So there was no great works and things like that in that way. It was all about the simplicity of how love can be given. So we finished our conversation about the culture and about the role that I played and what I was here to do for some of that. And it wasn't just Pleiadians, it was for everything. It was for all things, basically, of the role that I played, of remembering love, remembering the love of creation, remembering the love of all things, and bringing them back here to this level 1 planet for part of our awakening. So I got that, I understood that, and I agreed to that, and I knew exactly what they were talking about, how important it is, and how this is the great work that Darius talks about. And then they wanted to bless and give me something, not just for my experience of being out of body, but in general, so that I could share it, so I could speak about it. Because I believe if you're going to have these things, you need to live them. You can't just read them out of a book. You've got to know. It's got to be right within you. And so they reached out, and one came forward. One person came forward. I can't remember if it was male or female. And they held my arms and sort of like in an embrace, like arm to arm. And they just said to me, very similar to the last Pleiadians, just take a breath, relax. We're going to show you who we are, what our planet is like, what our culture is like as a species, as galactics, and you're going to experience and become us for this moment, which is, in other words, you're going to remember who you are because I've been Pleiadian. I went, oh, this has been really, really interesting. So I just breathed, and they started sending an energy from their body. Now, Pleiadians, I'll give you the image again. These guys, whether they're from one system or another system, doesn't matter, whatever kingdom they're in. But these guys glow when they are them true selves. They glow where they are. They are very, I call them like glittery. They sparkle, and they have an energetic frequency of pure love, which just emanates from within them. So that the energy they have comes from within them, their connection to all things, to love, and it just permeates out. So when they touched me, again, I got the love, I got the knowing, I got the truth. I got to know exactly who they are and what they feel like. I know exactly their planet in that way, what they're connected to. So the energy came through me, and then as it came through me, they started, I wouldn't say singing, but I just knew they were doing some sort of sound, some sort of process, and they were all moving together and swaying. A bit like the movie Avatar, where you see them sitting under the tree, which is really interesting. Well, that movie really resonates with some of my experiences. But you see them swaying all together as one energy, one love, one knowing, and they sway. And I said, sort of feeling like, why do I have to feel this? And they said, because you're going to get into the consciousness of love. You're going to do our consciousness, and you're going to become us. So it was very Avatar, the movie, to be honest. So we're all moving together, swaying, and the more that they got me to move with them, the more I connected and became them. And then the more I felt their energy, everything was quiet and very beautiful, very loving. And we just kept swaying. And the more I swayed, the more I got into a deeper and deeper state of consciousness and love. It just was like, it was like becoming something. So I swayed, and then I got slower and slower. And it was like almost like having an out-of-body experience in an out-of-body experience, to be honest. So I'm having an out-of-body experience with them. Now I'm in with them, and I'm having an out-of-body with them. So I'm having two out-of-bodies and the one out OBE experience, which is very, very unusual. But I could feel myself, it's really strange, becoming full soul body, even though I was in my soul body, I was out, but deeper, like truly deeper. So I was, see how I can put it. I'm in an out-of-body experience, having an out-of-body experience. What do you say? And I felt myself completely let go. I couldn't even feel my soul body anymore. That was gone per se. Not gone as not me, but as in it didn't matter. So this is the experience of me being in sleep, then leaving my body and have an out-of-body experience, walking as my soul, truly awake, conscious and aware, fully awake, going into another realm, going into with them, and then, so I don't know if has anyone else ever had this? Let me know if you've ever had the same. Maybe someone else knows that experience. In the out-of-body experience, I'm leaving my soul body into my true self, my God self, whatever you want to call it. I could feel everything that I thought I knew completely let go and go into a state of the calmest love, which was even stronger than the 2 Pleiadians I just spoke of, if that's possible. And as I let go, and I felt us all merged, and they showed me the whole of their consciousness of what they're connected to, the whole planet and the whole wherever I was shifted, and I got to see how bright and beautiful that place really is. I didn't see buildings, things like that. I just knew the whole planet shifted. They wanted me to see them as they truly are, as they are connected to all things. So the whole place shifted, become very bright, very glistening, very beautiful. And this is where it got very cool. Sorry, when you go back into your experiences, you relive them. I'm visual, I'm a channel and an empath, so therefore if I'm talking to you about things, I'm there. I'm not just having a conversation. I'll relive it, I'll go back into the experience. And I looked around and she's, oh, it was a she. Okay, there you go, I have just remembered. And she said to me, look around, let go, feel the experience. So I let go of all, I didn't have fear at that time, which was good, but I let go of what is known as fear or apprehension or perception. I did not go into how I perceive it. I just let go completely. And as I let go, the whole planet shifted. And I looked around at there was like, and this is hard to say because I don't know how to explain it, but there was fauna and there was like flora. So there's flowers and living energy, so not trees and plants per se, but kinda not like we know it. And everything changed on me. They got me to walk in up towards everything I was seeing, so I was right there. So if we say it was flowers, I'm right at the flowers. And they said to me, look, feel. And as I did that, I let go. Can you go any deeper? I did. You can go. I went deeper again, whatever the heck you could call that. And every single, I'll just say flowers, but they weren't flowers, but everything that I thought was flowers and plant life, and I don't remember seeing animal life at that point. There may have been something, not sure. But every bit of plant life that I thought was plant life, as I understood it, because I'm in the moment learning, became exactly like the Avatar movie. Everything was alive. Everything was conscious. I could feel every aspect of everything that was there, including the people, the planet, and the people. All the colours became the colours that I have no words for. So I can't say to you, oh, that was a beautiful red, because it wasn't red as we know it. Oh, that's a nice blue. It wasn't blue as I know it. Everything was multicoloured, multifaceted, like diamonds. Everything glowed. Everything was alive. Everything knew me. I felt and knew it. It was conscious. We were having a conversation of some sort, like just a feeling conversation. Everything moved with me. So when I was rocking and flowing, it rocked and flowed. So I was it in the moment. I was the planet. I was just to say flowers for the sake of it. I was the flowers. I was it in the moment. But it was all in 3D. So my soul eyes were so open in that moment. And the heart, the love, I was so open and receptive by what they have helped me to become in that moment. See, I can't find the words because, what words are there? And everything was alive inside of me. So I was them, I was the planet and them were me. We were one, just like the Avatar movie, just like they showed you in Avatar. And when I looked closer, it got brighter and the colours enhanced. Sorry, my microphone. Sorry, I might have gone off world and it'll affect technology. When you talk about these things, it'll affect energy. When you see those colours, when everything comes alive in like a 3D, 4D feeling, we're not talking realms because that doesn't exist, but that, like the movies, and you put your goggles on, your 3D glasses, and you can see and feel everything. You feel like you're in it. I was in it. And I could feel there's a sound or a tone or something like that comes off them and everything. I can't tell you what it sounded like. I can't mimic it. I do light language for those that don't know. So, I couldn't really light language it. I couldn't even sing it and tone it for you like I normally do. Because it's a sound and a colours and tones that I don't have any explanation for. All I knew was it. So when I looked around and I moved and I thought and I experienced, we all moved together. We all moved as one. And that's the proof that we are all one. Whether it's galactics, us, other things, we are all one. We are the same creation. We are from all are one. And that's what they wanted me to feel. They again want to remember love at its deepest and most powerful form of creation, of what creation is. So source, God, all that jazz, pick a word. But they wanted me to know that they too know about this, that they are this. They still have their experiences where they are still learning, they are still growing consciously, they reminded me. So they haven't arrived per se, they are still having experiences just as we are. But they themselves had that little bit of a deeper understanding than we have. That all things exist, all things are conscious, all things are love. And I felt that in every fibre of my non-body in that moment. That's probably one of the most vivid things I've ever experienced. And I'll never bloody forget it. I can tell you now. To see things in 3D, 4D experience become it, how bright and how beautiful and alive everything was. I've got no words. I've got no words. She says, using words. And I remember just wanting to stay there. And they just said, be here as long as you wish. So I did. I stayed for a moment and I just allowed myself to flow. And everything was movement. Everything was in creation. Everything was as it should be. There was no judgment in that place. There was no judgment even on their own kind who are here, on what they're experiencing. There was no judgment whatsoever. It's just love for all things. So they got a double whammy of love that evening, or that moment I was out. And I wish you could see what I'm seeing. Set an intention to experience it as well. It's an experience that is unforgettable, one of many. So after that, I didn't want to leave there, of course, because why would you? It's perfection, really. And so I had my Avatar movie moment, which was the coolest thing ever, to be honest. But then I went somewhere else after that with some other Pleiadians into a different aspect, which I won't have time for today, of how I entered into water. Again, I exit into water a lot. So I go through the firmament, but I go through what I call the pools of remembrance. I exit into water when I have leave my body a lot. And a lot of people talk about that as well. But I left these guys. I thanked them so much. They were so happy. They celebrated every moment. They were so joyful. They just were so happy that I got to remember. And then I exited and walked off again to a different Pleiadian group, which I won't have time for today, of our experience where they are, that they were in water some of their technology was in water, lots of little things like that. It wasn't a big experience, that one, but it was interesting. But we won't do that today because we've been long enough. 2 hours is long enough. I don't want to get bored. But I just wanted you to know that love is real. OBEs are real. This is how you wake up. If you really want to find yourself and remember who you are and why you're here, and remember what is true, and bring what Darius calls bringing heaven to earth, which is bringing love, the remembrance of who we are as a soul, how powerful we are as created beings and gods, and bring that back to here to help shift the consciousness of humanity, of this earth. There are other ways, little ways that you can have an out-of-body experience. I've had them in visions. I've had them in dream state, like I said, popping in a dream state. I've had lots of little ones like that as well. I've had experiences where they will come to me, they walk through my walls. I've had physical visitations, real visitations, not just me making it up. And I've also had experiences of things flying over my house, which I will talk about another time, where I've seen things come over the house. Physical, not in me out of body, me fully awake in my backyard while the dogs are peeing. I've had a few of those over the last 5 years, and we'll share those. So we'll leave it there. Like I said, I didn't want to go too much into the protocols and things like that. Go and see Darius J. Wright. Go and watch Corey Brandon, Soul Traveller 77. Love that guy. Him and I get on like a house on fire idea. Like, we're laughing, and he's just easy to get along with. His experiences, a lot of his experiences are very similar to my own. That's where we resonate a lot. He knows the love that I'm talking about. He's been there as well. So we're going to have a lot of fun in the future, spending time together and talking about a lot of what each other has experienced, and they'll be on both our channels eventually. So go and subscribe to him, Soul Traveller or Corey Brandon. I'll put all the details below. Soul Traveller 77. And if you want to really learn all about this and have the experience that I'm having and more, there's a lot of us who've had experiences I haven't even had. Like I said, I am no expert. I'm just a girl who's experiencing leaving a body and realizing that it's real and it's true, and has changed her completely. We will talk about, might even do a little quick one where I talk about how OBEs can change you completely. Not in a way that's you need to be uncomfortable about, but just I'll be honest about some of the struggles I went through when I left my body and came back, of how I've changed and how I think differently. And it's not that I've become anything. I've released all the identities, all what I thought I knew, basically. And now I'm walking the truth and the knowing because I'm living it. I'm physically awake living it, so it's undeniable. So just know love is real. We are all loved no matter what. And OBEs, out-of-body experiences, are real. That's how you wake up. That's how you remember who we are here, having this experience. So thank you for listening. Thank you for those that have asked me to do more. I will be doing more, I promise. As I said, try and keep to the 2-hour mark because that's long enough. I've had a lot of ones that are just brief, but they're important as well. I've had ones that might be a bit longer like this. I've had them in different ways, how I exit, which I'll talk about again. And go and find out for yourself. This is not about someone like me who's going to share them all in honesty and truth. And as you can see, I won't be fluffing it up. It's just going to be me saying, by the way, I had this. And again, it's not so much about the experiences. The experiences are the remembering, okay? It's the soul reminding you so that you can remember that this isn't who you really are. This is just the experience you're having here as this person. Well, you are really awake and you know more. It's about what you bring back. And what's changed me is because I've come back with downloads and information, knowing truth, the love, by what I've experienced. So we'll eventually talk about consciousness. I've got a few things. I write a lot. I think differently. A lot of my information's different, deep. I do ask a lot of questions. So I'll be sharing maybe things about consciousness, how I feel about that. But I want to share a little bit to be honest about how incredible this is to wake up and to remember and to come back changed. But also I talk about the truth and the authenticity about how that's not easy as well sometimes. I think rather than just fluff it and have it's all, oh, look at these great experiences, I think we need to talk about consciousness, what we understand to be true. Sorry, affected my microphone. And what I've gone through and what I've felt by waking up and having OBEs. You need to know little things of the truth of what you might experience and what you might not. Everyone's experience is valuable. We will all have very similar places that we get to experience and see because they exist. So the pools, the realms, the constructs and things like that, galactics, other kingdoms, other realms. Outside this construct, going through the waters, the firmament as they call it, that is the encasing. Everyone will have those slightly different. So your experiences, you might go, oh, I went to exactly where Marantha went to. Now I know it's real. That's half of what I'm doing, trying to help you to understand your experiences are real and to enjoy them. But occasionally through your own perception, your own beliefs will make a difference of what you perceive or how you perceive it. So one of the other ones I'm going to talk about too eventually is entering the halls of a mentee. And also I talk about how I saw some of the constructs, how I saw, which I believe now by the help of Corey, that it was probably my own room, my own constructs, my own creations of what I've created, other worlds that I've created, and how I saw that. Now, the information is 100% identical to everyone else, including Darius. Just my perception of how I want to experience that was just a little different. That's all, how I saw the constructs. But the information was identical. So you'll have that as well. So I want you to know that when you have your experiences, don't think that because you didn't have them like I did, didn't quite see it exactly the same, you might have had it a little bit different, but it's similar. It's all 100% correct. Okay? People, even myself in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I didn't have it like that. Is it wrong? Did I get that wrong? There is no wrong. It is always correct. It all matters. All your experiences matter. How you have them matters. Okay? So quite often we'll have them in a way that we're comfortable with. Not everyone's ready to see everything at once. Some people are not like Marantha. We want it all at once. Like hard and fast. Go hard or go home. I'm that person. I'm a bit like Corey. I just want to do it. Let's just get it done. But everyone's experience will be different. You will have it in the way that you're comfortable. You'll have it in the way that works for you. Now, the other thing I want you to know before I finished is that sometimes when you learn to come out of the body and you have experiences eventually, some people can do it really quickly. If you can get into sleep paralysis easily, or you have someone who's had sleep paralysis a lot all through your life, you'll find it maybe easier because that's where you got to get into, sleep paralysis. Some people can have it first time they try. Some people might take a period of time. Some people haven't had one for 12 months, 2 years. Just keep doing it. Keep practicing. Keep doing the protocols. Keep learning. It's what Darius is for, to help you. People like us, sharing our truth, telling you that it's real. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't get, in the beginning, because you're so excited, you get a bit like, get a bit like that. Don't let that get to you. Push past it. Push past the times where you didn't think it was right, didn't think it was enough, wanted more, don't think it happened. Push past that and keep going. Don't give up, okay? As I said, your experience will not be my experience, but you will get to see, hopefully, more than me or similar. Who knows? So it's important to not stop, alrighty? Do that for yourself at least. Don't give up. Don't get disheartened, alrighty? We're like children. We want it all at once. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Just remember to push past fear. Love yourself as you are no matter what. Push past the adrenaline as well. But I got a bit excited when I started. I'd learned to let go of the excitement. I still have it occasionally. I've got to work on it. Still have the occasional fears that will come up. So far, I haven't had any for ages. I had one recently, which I might talk about, which will be interesting. Not what people probably think. And how I dealt with that and how it changed my whole belief system of how I see things. So OBEs change your life. They really do. And not in a way where you're not you're still you, but you're so full of the love from the experience of bringing heaven to earth, the love from over there to here, and accepting and loving yourself as you are, no matter what, that it makes a great difference to you. But you're still here to have an experience. Don't forget that. So hang in there. Give it a go. Don't give up. All right? Don't get disheartened and have a tantrum like Marantha did. And you, Corey, by the way. Corey did too. Where you're just like, okay. You'll go through all that. That's normal. It's because you have a desire you want. And that's part of the beauty of learning. So keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going. Don't stop. It's worth it. I promise. It is worth it. And for those of you who've had experiences, share them. Help other people to wake up. Help other people to deal with what they're seeing. They need to know that they're not losing their mind and they're not crazy. You're not. It is real, more real than here. So if there's anybody that you know too that would like to share their experiences, let me know, because I want to eventually, I have another podcast. Like I said before, I'm having a disclosure podcast. I have a UFO disclosure, a little bit of a different podcast where people talk about their journeys and their experiences with other worlds, things like that. I've got a gentleman in a couple of days. Keep an eye out for that. I will post it onto here. Should I post it onto here? No, I might post it on my other channel, my normal YouTube, Marantha O'Rourke. It'll be on there because it doesn't align with OBE. It's a different topic. But I'll post that. So if you're interested in government protocols, disclosure, UFOs, and all that sort of jazz, go onto Marantha O'Rourke, my normal YouTube channel. There's a whole heap of stuff on there. There's stuff on there where I've talked about myself as an abductee and the experiences I've had with UFOs, what I've seen, what happened to me, lots of little things like that. If you're interested, go and keep an eye out. That'll be there by the end of the week as well. And don't forget, you know the rules. Subscribe, like, share. Let's get us out there. If you've got any questions, leave them below as well. If you have anything you'd like to ask about my experiences or what about OBE, feel free to ask. Only thing I do ask is don't come on here and poo-poo everybody. Don't put other people down of their experiences and don't bring in your beliefs of that you think is bullshit or you troll other people. I won't tolerate that. I'm not fucking having it. So just letting you know. All right, my lovelies. Thank you. So my name is Marantha O'Rourke. Come join me. Come and join the others. All the information will be below for those you can go and visit. Go and do yourself a favour. Go and join Darius J. Wright. He's the one that's going to get you to where I got to, where all of us have got to, teaching us to get out, teaching us the protocols, how to do it properly. And you will find eventually over time that, like myself, your protocols of how you get out of the body, how you do it, how you navigate, how you want to do it, can change. It's not the gospel of how, just the beginning. It gets you started. The other thing is I want to let you know too is that one of the beauties, whether you're an empath or awake in that way or whatever, you're gifted, it enhances your abilities. That's one of the beauties. So you'll come back not only different, but it enhances your abilities, your hypersensitivity, your knowing, your channeling, your gifts in general, whether you're a healer or a seer, channel like myself, all of the above. Those abilities increase because now you're fully merging and awakening with the soul. So you're bringing your knowing from home to here into the body. And that's one thing I've noticed, that I have a feeling now, a remembrance with 1 foot here in this experience and 1 foot over there at all times. So I can feel home. I can feel this construct and outside the construct right. I just know it's right there. I've always had a connection because of the abilities I have, the gifts I have. I've always had that knowing, but now it's stronger. Now I know. And then, like I said, I might talk a little things about what I went through with all this, the good side and how I coped or didn't cope and the changes that I went through. I think we should talk about that too. I think it's important for people to not just see the beauty of it, but to understand that not everybody But some of you might find that you have changed so much that you're not sure how to handle that. And that's what myself and others are here for. We're here to help you with that. All right. I will go. That's long enough, Manfi. Shush. Time to leave. All right. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing me out. And thank you for listening. That's all that matters. So feel free to share your experiences as well below. And coming together helps everybody. You know what I mean? So I will see you soon. Keep an eye out for the next recording. I will try to do them once a week. I want to try and spread them out a bit so you've got things you can watch weekly or something like that. And then you keep an eye out for myself and Corey, where I will be interviewed by him. I will share his recordings of that onto here so that you can watch things in the future. And we will definitely be going into talking about consciousness and going a little bit deeper into things that we know now and understand from the other side. So, all right, thank you. And I will